Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. Welcome to the Vorotera channel, where we bring to your hearts stories that are not just for listening but also for learning. Today's story is not just a story of a girl-less test, but a shining example of faith, patience, and trust in Allah's decision. The title is Allah's Decision is the Best. Nimra is the girl whose lips always had Alhamdulillah on them. Simplicity, politeness, and courtesy were his hallmarks. He's adored by his parents, and his cousin Kashif is his tiger cub, the one he not only loved but considered the most beautiful decision of his fate. Kashif was an educated, handsome, and well-employed young man. Everyone in the family was happy. Two childhood friends who are now going to be life partners. The wedding date had been set. The invitation had been printed. There was laughter and happiness in the house. Nimra loved to do mehndi designs on her hands with her mother. He would show his father the color of the shirt, and at night he would prostrate himself in thanksgiving. "Oh God, you have given me what is very close to my heart. Well, just keep him in my good graces." But fate had written a story that Nimra did not know. Kashif's behavior slowly began to change. The phone call was cut short. Responses to messages started coming late. Sarcasm, arrogance, and superiority began to emerge in his speech. One day Kashif said to Nimra, "Do you have any experience living in a big city? You are just a simple housewife." "My world has changed, Nimra." Nimra listened to everything silently and felt a pang of sadness in her heart. But the night's sleep was taken away from my eyes. He threw his hands before his Lord and said, "Oh my Lord, if this is my destiny, then strengthen my heart, and if not, then give me what is best for me." There were only 2 days left until the wedding. The house was completely ablaze with light, but Nimra's heart was trembling in some unknown darkness. And that darkness became reality and crashed down. In the evening, while Nimra was planning a beauty parlor date with her friends, her father's phone rang. Kashif's father had a call. The shy tone in his voice was cold. "We are sorry. Kashif doesn't want to get married now." It was as if someone had sucked the soul out of Nimra's existence. Father's eyes became wet. Mother said astaghfirullah while trembling, and Nima had only one sentence on her lips. "What was my fault?" A few moments passed, and Mother felt a sharp pain in her chest. Nima immediately gave her help and called her, but Mother had fainted. She was taken to the hospital, given medicine, and the doctors had a serious look on their faces. Nima sat in a corner and silently looked at the sky. Everything had collapsed. Honor, dreams, relationships, and now even the mother's life are in danger. Dad put his hand on his shoulder, but his own hands were shaking. A lifetime of hard work turned into humiliation in just 2 days. Nimra looked up at the sky and said to herself, "Oh God, this is your decision. You took my love, my respect, my mother, everything from me in the same moment." But after a while, he quietly prostrated himself and said, "If whatever you do is good for me, then give me the strength to endure it. That's it. You'll stay with me, Arab." The mother's condition was critical, but the doctors said he was out of danger now. My father came to his senses, but darkness had spread in Nimra's heart. The wedding invitation had turned to ashes. People's words were poison and entering our ears. Is there any flaw in the girl, or does someone deny it 2 days before the wedding? Nimra was silent. Every sentence felt like a stone in his chest. But amidst this silence, a new sentence was being born. "Now only God is the judge." This sentence was mixed with Nimra's breathing. His lips did not speak, but this is what my heart yearned for every moment. Silence reigned in the house. Mother was still semi-conscious in bed, and Father's face no longer had the glow that once gave hope to Nimra's dreams. The women of the neighborhood would stand on the roof every day and say something. I don't know what the girl's fault was. Did the groom run away, or was there an old relationship? Who will marry the girl from this house? Nimra would sit at home and listen to everything, but no one answered. Tears would get stuck in my eyelids, but they were not allowed to come out. Father would wake up in the morning and quietly go to the mosque. He would sit by his mother's side all day and return late at night. No questions, no complaints, just broken trust. One night Nimra said to her father, "Father, if I hadn't been there, maybe everyone would be at peace now." Father gently held her hand and said, "No, Mother, if it weren't for you." we would have broken up long ago. Nimra closed her eyes and thanked God. At least one heart was still there, which still considered her pain as pain. In the meantime, Nimra's job was also lost. The school where she taught the children was closed. The principal said in a soft voice, "We are receiving complaints. Parents are saying that your personal life is a victim of conflict." Nimra lowered her head. "Okay, I will come from tomorrow." His last source of income also stopped. Now the only hope was God. He would wake up at Tahajjud every day. He would open the Quran, read it, and pray aloud. "Oh God, I haven't hurt anyone's feelings. So why is this happening? If there's a test, give me patience." One day, he was sitting on the roof. The sun was bright and the sky was clear. Nimra looked at the sky and wondered if there was really any way left for me. Did I live for a purpose? At that very moment, her phone rang. Nimra looked at the screen in surprise. The number was unfamiliar, but her heart indicated that maybe this was not an ordinary call. "Assalamu alaikum." Who is Nimra talking to now? "We are from Izzat Welfare Foundation. We have been referred by the mother of one of your former students. We are starting a new project for women. We need a brave girl who understands suffering." Nimra remained silent. The heart rate increased. "Am I worthy of this?" "Yes." "We will wait for your yes." As soon as the phone hung up, tears started flowing from Nimra's eyes. "Oh God, this is your door, where there is no rejection." He decided in his heart that he would no longer remain a silent spectator. But the path was not easy. As soon as Nimra started working at the NGO, many relatives started talking. "Will you work in an NGO now?" "I don't know who to sit with. He has taken to wearing clothes from the NAC era to hide his past." Nimra suffered new injuries every day, but every night he would fall asleep with those injuries in front of him. It was only a few days after I started working that a woman came to the NGO office one day. There were bruises on his face and the same question in his eyes that Nimra had once had. "Did I harm anyone?" Nimra placed her hand on the woman's head and said just one sentence. "God's decisions are wonderful." That day, Nimra promised herself that she would protect not only her own honor, but also that of other women. At home, his parents began to find peace in his changing behavior. Mother's health gradually started to improve. A faint light of peace began to shine in Nimra's heart, what he had been looking for years. And in the end, sitting alone in the darkness of the night, looking up at the sky, he smiled and said, "Maybe this path is my destiny." This sentence was burning in the walls of Nimra's heart that night. The morning was new, but the exam did not leave its old form. The NGO's work was ongoing. Nimra would be tired all day. But he saw the same question in every woman's eyes as he did in his own, and tried to answer quietly. The salary was small, but the household expenses were barely covered. But the peace of mind that was in the heart could not be bought with any wealth. Often in the evenings he would bring fruit for his mother and himself would give thanks for the simple bread he had eaten twice a day. But one evening when he returned from the office, he saw his father's face dirty. "Dad, is everything okay? Mom is spreading strange things about you on the internet." Nimra was surprised. He opened his phone and saw a social media post in front of him, where his picture was. Below was written, "What kind of women hide behind NGO? Know the truth," and Kashif's name under the post. The expandin seemed to have stopped. Nimra closed her eyes. Tears rolled down her face without her knowing. "This is the person who destroyed my world, and now he is turning my honor into dust." Father said, "What will people say? Your mother will not be able to bear this blow." Nimra said nothing. She silently went to her room and fell in prostration. "Oh Allah, when you have given me this path, protect me, too. This world is not the line of my hand. You are the protector." But the next morning, Father was taken to the hospital in an unconscious state. The doctors said that the sugar level had risen dangerously. The brain has been affected. The ground of hope began to slip away from Nimra's hands. He sat next to his mother, opened the Quran, and said a simple prayer in his heart. "O Lord, test me, but do you and test my parents." That Samede Nimra had to speak to women at an NGO program. He was feeling very weak, but he knew that if he backed down today, many women would accept defeat. My chest was pounding as I went on stage. But when he started speaking, the words wouldn't stop. I have been wronged. My honor has been attacked, but I didn't give up because I believe that God's decisions are wonderful. Someone recorded these words on a mobile phone, and the next day, that video went viral on social media. Nimra knew nothing, but one person, Abdullah, a famous religious scholar and social researcher, was very impressed by this video. He told his assistant, "This girl has pain in her eyes, and truth in words. I have to meet with it." A few days later, Nimra received an invitation through an NGO. "You are invited as a guest speaker at a women's awareness seminar in Islamabad." Nimra was surprised. "Am I just a broken, disgraced, ordinary girl?" The NGO supervisor smiled and said, "You are not ordinary, Nimra. Now you have become a light for many women." There was a glimmer of happiness in the mother's eyes, too. "Go, Mom. What people used to say, show them today that a girl can be not only the honor of the house, but also the guide of the nation." Nimra bowed her head and accepted the Islamabad trip, which she once thought was possible only in her dreams. Now she looked at the road and the same sentence kept echoing in her mind. "Oh God, what a decision this is that has given me honor after humiliation." Her speech at the seminar was heart-touching. Every face in the hall was serious. Some women's eyes were getting wet. After the speech, Abdullah came on stage and shook hands with him and said, "Your truth has renewed my faith. I am happy that God has brought me together with a purposeful individual like you." Nimra looked into his eyes in surprise. He was a person of gentle nature, without arrogance. He didn't say any titles. He didn't ask for any praise. Just appreciated from the bottom of my heart. This meeting was a new turning point. Nimra saw in Abdullah's eyes such calmness, such seriousness, and such cheerfulness that she had rarely felt before in a stranger. But at this moment there was no arrogance, no superiority, no sense of position, just a man who was feeling the truth of another heart from his mind. After the speech, Nimra felt as if the leaves of life were starting to soften a little, but he was wary of this change. He knew that when God tests, sometimes he sends difficult tests under the guise of ease. He prayed to God in his heart that if this new light were to be his destiny, it would bring peace to his heart, or he would remain grateful even in the darkness. A few days later, an official message came from Abdullah. "If you think it appropriate, we should start a new project together for the welfare of women." Nimra politely said yes. He knew this was not just a proposal but another test of his character. The two began a series of online meetings to discuss this project. Abdullah was a hard-working, religious, and shy man in every way, whose words contained neither showmanship nor Nimra was seeing a new color of respect and trust in this relationship, but he still kept his heart from fully opening. Meanwhile, Kashif somehow learned that Abdullah was now getting closer to Nimra, and this news inflamed his pride. The man who once left Nimra, considering her insignificant, now that the world was respecting him, he couldn't stand it. Kashif prepared to spread venom against Nimra again, but this time the target was not only Nimra but also Abdullah. Kashif found a way to meet Abdullah, and, posing as someone very close to Nimra, told her false and disgusting stories about her past. He said, "I have known him for many years. It's not what the world thinks. He just pretends to be innocent." But, from the inside, Abdullah listened quietly and said nothing. He just kept the words to himself. At the next meeting, Nimra sensed that Abdullah's tone had changed. It wasn't that faith. It wasn't that humility. The words became formal and there was a long silence. Unrest took hold in Nimra's mind. When Abdullah refused to send the comments on the project file again, Nimra said to herself, "Oh God, this was what I thought was the light from you. Was this also a test?" Meanwhile, her mother's health deteriorated again. On a heavy rainy night, when there was no medicine in the house and the electricity was out, Nimra was searching for a match in the kitchen for the burnt hand. The emptiness inside was more painful than the pain. That night, she could only say this to her mother's head. "Oh my Lord, do not make my loyalty my weakness. If you keep me alive for a test, then make my patience so great that your decision will never be questioned." On the other hand, Abdullah's mind was also restless. He tried to convince himself, again and again. Maybe there was truth in Kashif's words, but Nimra's eyes and her words kept coming back to her mind. Finally, one day, Abdullah started investigating. He verified Nima's journey from NGO people, seminar organizers, and some old clips. The same thing came up every time. Not only does Nimra speak the truth, but her character and intentions are both impeccable. Then, someone sent Abdullah another video where Kashif was intoxicated and spewing venom against Nima in front of his friends. The same false words, the same poisonous claims. Abdullah's chest heaved. He immediately decided to call Nimra. But then he stopped. No, I'm not just asking for an explanation this time. I will give him the respect that the world has taken away from him. The next morning, when Nimra finished reciting the Quran and was making tea, there was a knock on the door. As soon as the door opened, Abdullah stood in front. White clothes, simple appearance, and lowered gaze. Nimra couldn't say anything about it. Abdullah said in a soft voice, "Nimra, I'm late in finding the truth. But I have made the decision now only with faith in Allah's decision. I want to bring my mother, if you allow." Nimra's gaze remained fixed on Abdullah's face, where shame hid sincerity and the faith that is few in a man's words, but clear in his intentions. What Abdullah said was not just a relationship, but a testimony to the decision of Allah that Nimra had given up on seeing with her eyes, but had never rejected in her heart. There was silence in the room. Nimra's father sat Abdullah down, and his mother kissed his forehead with tears in her eyes. Father's voice was wet. "Father, the respect with which you have expressed your desire to adopt our daughter is a blessing from Allah upon us." Abdullah replied humbly, "This is not just my wish, but the first step in my intention, which I want to connect with Allah's pleasure. The date for the wedding has been fixed soon. No expensive preparations, no unnecessary show-offs, just a few close people, the peaceful atmosphere of the mosque, and the prayers that reach the court of the Lord directly." Nimra's wedding was a scene of grandeur wrapped in simplicity. Nimra's tears didn't stop during the nikah. But this time, these tears were not of sadness, but of gratitude. "O Lord, you have given balm after every injury. You have given a reward after every trial, and you have shown a light after every darkness that I did not even desire." After the marriage, Abdullah put a proposal before Nimra. "I want us to establish a shelter home or refuge center together where women who have been rejected by the world can find refuge. But God has good in store for them too." Nimra's eyes filled with tears. This was the dream he had thought about many times in solitude, but had never been able to put into words. The two named the shelter home Faisala, meaning decision, because now both of them believed that the decisions the Lord makes are never wrong. The decision began with a small rental house. In the beginning, there were only 2 beds, 3 blankets, and some books. But the sincerity, determination, and sacrifice that existed between them quickly reached the hearts of people. Every woman who came there would see a glimpse of an older sister, a mother, or sometimes a friend among the crowd. He would place his hands on their wounds and say just one sentence: "Allah's decisions are wonderful." Time passed. Faisala became an acquaintance. Abdullah Dine combined training and research, and Nimra learned to give courage to others by using every trial in her life as an example. Then one day a young girl came to the door. There were blue marks on the body, fear in the eyes, and silence on the face. The name written on the papers is Yuruj bin Denasir. Nimra looked up in surprise. So many Kashif's sisters. For a few moments, Nimra's chest trembled. The poison of the past came back to mind for a moment. But then he remembered his promise to his Lord and the teachings of Abdullah. Revenge belongs only to Allah. We just have to do good work. Nimra smiled and kissed Eurus's forehead and said, "Mom, you are safe now. This door is not just for giving respect and taking it away." Tears rolled down Eurus's eyes, and he hugged Nimra's neck. That night, Abdullah said to Nimra, "Nimra, what you did today is not just kindness. This was the Lord's pleasure. This is the beauty of God's decision. He takes us to where we lighten our own burdens by lifting the burdens of others." Nimra looked at the sky. The moonlight was light, but the light within my mind was infinite. That night, during the Tahajjud prayer, Nimra fell down in prostration and said, "O my Lord, I bow to your every decision because now I know that whatever you choose is best for me. You have broken me, built me up, and then brought me to a destination where only your pleasure is. The patient are never sent back empty-handed. When the door of this world closes, Allah opens a door that only those who believe in Allah's decision are able to see. Until then, remember that God's decisions are always the best. Dear viewers, to receive inspiring stories, life lessons, and motivational words regularly, subscribe to our channel Voratera and press the bell icon next to it. Your subscription inspires us a lot. Thank you, everyone. See you again in the next story.